Alright guys, real quick one here. We have Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier headlining UFC 302. And let's just run through the records really quick. Islam is 32, 5 foot 10, 178 centimeters, 179 centimeters reach. Dustin Poirier is 35, 175 centimeters, 185 centimeters in reach. So he actually has a longer reach by 6 centimeters, but is 3 centimeters shorter than Islam. Islam Makhachev has had a pretty famous run, so he fought a bunch of like ranked slash unranked scrubs. Arman Tsarukyan was a notable win that he had, and then he fought Charles Oliveira for the belt, beat him, then fought Alexander Volkanovski twice. So now he's fighting Dustin Poirier, notably another featherweight who moved up to lightweight, but by now everyone's considering Dustin Poirier lightweight. Dustin Poirier has had a bit of a rockier road. He fought Conor McGregor twice, skyrocketing him in popularity. Then fought for the belt against Charles Oliveira, loses, beats Michael Chandler, gets knocked out by Gaethje, fights Benoit Saint Denis, and then he is kind of the only guy left when the UFC needed a title challenger for Islam, and so he gets that title slot. So Dustin Poirier lost to Khabib, he lost to Charles Oliveira, and we'll see if he can finally break through and become the undisputed champion by beating Islam Makhachev. So how did these two guys fight? Islam Makhachev is currently the #1 pound-for-pound ranked fighter in the world. I'm not sure if that's like official. Yeah, current best MMA lightweight fighter. Current best pound-for-pound MMA fighter. Okay, so that's the worldwide rankings according to Tapology. So that's going to be a little bit more accurate than the UFC's rankings. Number 25 greatest MMA fighter of all time. Damn, that's pretty... I like these stats. Let's take a look at... Does Dustin Poirier have stats like that? Number 11 greatest MMA striker of all time. Is Islam rated on there? No. Oh, number 67 greatest striker. But Islam's striking is surprisingly good, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Dustin Poirier getting knocked out in this fight. So Dustin Poirier got knocked out by a head kick from Justin Gaethje, and we just saw Islam Makhachev knock out his opponent with head kicks. I know Dustin Poirier usually fights in the southpaw stance, and he really likes to counter his opponents. I mean, he countered Benoit Saint Denis when he was coming in. He knocked out Conor McGregor by countering him. He beat the hell out of Michael Chandler by countering him when Chandler was pressing forward. Islam Makhachev's not going to really have all of those openings. Benoit Saint Denis was a huge step down in competition that Dustin Poirier fought. I know a lot of people were picking Benoit Saint Denis, but that's pretty much purely because of like the age difference and the fact that he was the fresher fighter. Dustin Poirier made that fight way harder for himself than it needed to be. Same with the Michael Chandler win. Like, Poirier has good grappling, but he puts himself in bad positions by pretty much choosing to not defend takedowns. Benoit Saint Denis was able to survive his guillotine. I think Islam Makhachev is going to be able to survive his guillotine. I don't think Poirier has a ton to offer Islam on the feet. Islam is vulnerable to leg kicks, so that's a possibility. Poirier could start working those leg kicks, could start injuring his leg. But again, a great counter to leg kicks is kicking them too and taking them down. I mean, we saw Khabib take down Justin Gaethje off of leg kicks, and from there it was pretty much over. I think that if Islam gets Poirier to the ground, Poirier can survive, but I don't think he's going to be standing back up that round. We couldn't get some good scrambles. Poirier might like jump on a submission. I don't know if it's ever going to be too tight. And I think Islam's just going to stay at a distance, striking with him. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with his striking. Maybe not a lot of people, but definitely he's going to surprise Poirier with his striking. He's going to be able to land good kicks on Poirier. He's going to be able to land good jabs, good left straights, and I think he's going to grab the takedown, go for ground and pound, and I think we're going to get like a round 3 or 4 TKO from Islam on the ground, either wobbling Poirier on the feet and then getting on top of him and pounding him out, or just systematically beating him up and finishing him from a dominant position on the ground. We saw Oliveira beating Poirier on the ground. He really just took the wind out of his sails in round 2 by just staying on top of him. We saw Chandler really like making the fight way closer than it had to be by just sitting on top of Poirier in round 2 on the ground there. We saw Khabib famously choke Dustin Poirier out. And we saw even Benoit Saint-Denis where Poirier was clearly the better striker, but instead of defending takedowns, he allowed Benoit Saint-Denis to get him to the ground. And I just don't think that's going to be a good strategy against a fighter as skilled on the ground as Islam Makhachev. So I'm ultimately going to go with a round 3 TKO for Islam Makhachev. And I know he's a pretty heavy favorite, and this isn't going to be a huge surprise. I've gotten every pay-per-view prediction so far this year correct. Let's enter the prediction and see what Tapology thinks. I'm not doing this. Okay, whatever. We'll see this next time. But I know this would be a huge upset if Dustin Poirier can win. What is the chance that Dustin Poirier wins? Well, I think, A, he's going to have to abandon the guillotine plan and defend takedowns, because even if he has better cardio than Islam, getting taken down and standing back up is not as cardio efficient as just defending the takedowns, especially when you're going to be getting pounded on by Islam, who has really good ground and pound. So he's going to have to defend takedowns. He's going to have to utilize a lot of leg kicks. And I think he's just going to have to step behind his jab. He can't really get too reckless by doing his shift in combinations where he throws like the left hook, shifts in, throws a right hook combination that he loves to use. And he also can't really wait for Islam to come in recklessly where he tries to counter him, like he loved to do against Oliveira, Chandler, Conor McGregor, all of these aggressive guys that are going to kind of just stand in the pocket and throw with Dustin, where he was able to pick up on their rhythms, slip their punches, land hit punches of his own as counters. That's kind of his bread and butter boxing right there. I also just don't even think that if he hurts Islam, Islam's not going to be able to take him down. Like, if Islam gets rocked, he can do a really quick blast double leg, or at least get into the clinch with Dustin Poirier. Dustin's going to struggle with Islam's strength in the clinch. He's going to struggle with his speed of takedowns. He's going to struggle with his striking. Dustin's biggest tools are going to be his jab and his leg kicks. So if he can start finding a consistent home for those, then that's going to open up the opportunities, causing Islam to be more reckless. It's going to open up the opportunities for him to land his bigger shots, like his hooks, his elbows, his knees, and also just be able to throw more with the hands. Like, he can't really let go with the hands and throw a whole lot, because that's leaving him vulnerable to takedowns. So, Dustin Poirier, 35 years old. I believe that if he loses this fight, I believe he could make it back to the top. But does he really want to do that? Does he want to put himself through that grind when he has so much going for him outside of the fighting game? And he's done that so many times, gotten to the belt so many times. Is he really going to want to do that like a third, fourth, or fifth time? To climb to the top, fight multiple hungry contenders, even though there really aren't that many great contenders at lightweight right now. But if he loses, I think he retires. He's had an amazing career. Losing to the #1 pound-for-pound fighter is really nothing to be ashamed of. Islam's amazing. It would sting for Poirier because he lost to some of the best lightweights in the world, Khabib, Islam, and Oliveira. And I thought his best chance to win the belt was against Oliveira, but against Khabib and Islam, I don't see him winning. He obviously can always catch Islam. Islam's been caught before, but because Islam got caught, he's been super diligent about being safe, protecting his head, protecting his distance between his opponents. He engages his opponents on his terms. He never lets his opponents dictate the terms of the engagement, something that I kind of talked about in the Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill fight, where Pereira was always the one dictating the terms of engagement. That's what Islam does so well. He just hangs back, is patient. If he gets pressured too much, he does have good footwork. He also has that blast double leg, that level change that people struggle with. So people are a little bit too afraid to get close to Islam. And then right when people think that Islam's just retreating constantly, Islam will strike when they enter. So he has that whole distance management and timing of his opponents down perfectly. The other thing is Dustin Poirier has been fighting for so long. There's so much tape on him that I don't think that Khabib and Javier Mendez and Islam, who all have great minds for MMA and coming up with game plans, are going to be surprised with anything that Dustin Poirier brings to them. And last but not least, like, Volkanovski definitely has less power than an average lightweight, for sure. I don't think Volkanovski has great power at featherweight, and he definitely doesn't have great power at lightweight. But he still is a very technical and fast striker, and Islam was able to outstrike someone as technical as Volkanovski. And I think Poirier is going to struggle landing his big punches, and he's going to be surprised by how often he gets hit from Islam, either from the head kicks, body kicks, even leg kicks of Islam's, and also just Islam's jab and the rapidity in which he level changes. So, as I said it before, I think Islam's going to be able to take him down, wear on him in round 1. He'll probably play it pretty safe, maybe go for a late takedown in round 1, like what he did against Volkanovski in their first fight. Round 2, I think he might go for a takedown a little bit earlier in the round and try to really work the ground and pound, tire out Dustin Poirier, beat on him. We've seen Dustin Poirier lose round 2 to wrestlers before in Oliveira and Chandler. And then in round 3, I think Islam's just going to kind of take him down, put the finishing touches on him, or even drop him like what he did to Oliveira, where he was able to take Oliveira down, work on him, causing Oliveira to be a little bit more reckless in the stand-up, and then Islam was able to land on him. And we know Islam has a surprising amount of power. He has hurt multiple opponents at lightweight, dropping them, knocking them out. I don't think Poirier's chin, while it is really good still, it definitely isn't uncrackable. And I think Islam can rock him and then maybe take him down from there and ground and pound him. So I think we're going to see kind of a slow wearing on Poirier from Islam in both the stand-up and the grappling until round 3, where I think Poirier is going to get finished. All right, guys, let me know what you thought of my prediction. Let me know what I missed, what you think I got right. Drop your predictions down below and enjoy the fights. We have some pretty good ones today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.